What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, the Carolina Collector. Before I begin, I want to say thank you so much to each and every single one of you for making this channel possible. If you like what you see and you enjoy the content, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe, smash that like button, comment in the comment section below, and hit the bell to receive notifications. Also, I have an eBay store called the Carolina Collector 001. The link is in the description box of every video and short that I upload here on YouTube. I've already dropped off several of my orders from those auctions that I had. Thank you so much for participating in those auctions. I believe I have one more customer that still needs to pay. I believe it's a Jackson Churio Gold out of 2024. But again, I got some of the best customers an eBay seller can ever have. So thank you everybody across the board that's been supporting my eBay store if you're viewers of this YouTube channel. So bear with me. It's about 3 o'clock in the morning. I am dead tired. If you watch that short that I uploaded with that maniac that followed me into the Walmart parking lot, man, he's lucky he didn't get the pepper ball treatment out of me. Because, let me tell you, you got people that are just absolutely psychotic and unhinged these days, man. Especially these left-wing nut jobs. You can tell my stress level is up. But anyway, thank God, there was no violent outcome or anything like that, or law enforcement outcome, which is good. And I needed to unwind a little bit. I showered and shaved and back to looking like James Rolfe, a.k.a. the AVGN, going back into that mode again. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you noticed my new little billboard over there with my Corgi model buses. Those are my mug shots. And that's actually a printout of the thumbnail I made for that particular video. So, of course, I have to throw it in certain people's faces that, despite their best efforts, they continue to fail. Because that's what happens when you create false narratives. Of course, I'm an innocent man. Charges have been dropped. No criminal record still to this day. So people can talk all the shit they want. I still have the upper hand. With that being said, it's that sort of thing that I want to get into here a little bit. And again, forgive me, it's really late at night, early in the morning. It's about 3 a.m. And by the time you all see this, it'll probably be nighttime sometime Thursday night. I just need a break from the camera for a little bit because dealing with that crap was very stressful outside. But this little melodrama that's going on in the sports card sphere leaves much to be desired. Now, I'm not exactly this channel is not an exclusively dedicated channel to collecting sports cards. I'm multifaceted. I talk about toy collecting, Transformers collecting, jersey collecting, which, as a matter of fact, I had to wash that Yankees jersey and literally cut the t-shirt off of me because, unfortunately it was so hot and so humid last night when I got home. I don't know if you saw the short that I uploaded. I'm pouring sweat from my face. But I'm like, oh my God, like this sucks, man. It's just awful. But anyway, yeah, so, this channel is, not exclusive to any one particular hobby. I love talking about jerseys. I love talking about toys. I love talking about sneakers and, niche little things, like them Corgi buses. They were my new mugshot billboard, by the way. I know you can't see it because it's so far away. But again, I'm still kind of planning what to do with that. I have an idea of what I kind of want to do. It's just dedicating myself to it. But with that being said, I talk about other topics when it comes to various other hobbies, right? And I have a multifaceted audience. If I upload a Transformers video, I'll get Transformers fans commenting on that. If I talk about jerseys, I'll have Jersey fans talking about that, etc., etc. So with that being said, I don't have one specific targeted audience. You kind of have to, especially in these collecting spaces, you kind of have to be a little bit more versatile. And I like a little bit of everything. I don't dedicate myself to just one genre of collecting. But ever since this national took place, I've been watching all sorts of drama go on with Professor Sports Cards and Neo Cards and Comics, Dan the Card Man, Sports Card Dad, Jeff Wilson and Teapot putting out a whole bunch of crap. And it's just like, you see like this sports card civil war. Let's be realistic here, okay? I'm small potatoes in the card space. I just started collecting again last year. You all know that. I don't hide that, and I'm going to be honest about it. My knowledge of sports cards grows every day as I continue to involve myself in the hobby, but I'm the furthest from an expert that can be. I can only offer my hot takes. If I do start, ripping packs again and all that kind of stuff and going through wax, well, that day will come. But for right now, I'm kind of like taking my foot off the gas pedal because, man, I poured so much money into that I need to slow down. And of course, with the death of my dad and all the drama that's gone on with my ex and everything else, man, it's put a little bit of a financial pickle on my shoulders. So it's like, I gotta weigh my options here a little bit, and thanks to all of you for supporting the eBay store. It's made things a lot easier for me. But I will never claim to be some sort of expert or know-it-all. I'm just like the rest of you. I'm a regular schmuck that when I eat too many bean burritos, I fart. You know what I mean? I might get a little peeping turtle here or there, but in other words, I'm just an average Joe. I'm nobody. I'm not a talking head or anything like that. I do have my commentary about certain things and my opinions about certain things, but at the end of the day, I am the furthest from an expert. So I'm watching this little civil war go on. My feelings are as such, and I think I described this or explained this in a previous video, that don't people just collect to collect anymore? Don't people just buy things to enjoy them? I'm a New York Yankees fan. I just sold off my Anthony Volpe New York Yankees Elite jersey, and I kept the two lesser versions of that jersey. This is the Aaron Judge away. I think I made a YouTube short about that where I replaced the logo man on the back with the MVP logo man. And I got his home jersey, which I completely sweat out, which is hanging up in my bathroom. I hand washed it, which is the best thing to do. No fabric softener. You can ruin the material because of the chemicals that are in all that stuff. But anyway, with all that being said, it's like, I chose the lesser of the jerseys because why not? I can, you know what I mean? Because for me, it's like, I have my comfort zone when it comes to different types of collecting and stuff like that, I find these to be more appealing and more comfortable than the Elite jersey, surprisingly. But then again, that was from 2023, that jersey that I sold on eBay. I don't know what the 2024 Elites are like. Apparently, they went back to using the bigger letters on the marquees of the jerseys on the back, for example. I'm not sure if they did that with the Yankees or the Mets or anything like that, but that jersey I had, past tense, that I sold on eBay, well, it was very revealing. Number one, Anthony Volpe has not exactly had the greatest year, and I could see the effect on the price of that jersey. I paid with fan cash, et cetera, I only paid $200 and something, and they go for almost $400, and I sold mine for $70, 75. That's kind of sad, you know what I mean? But I prefer the lower end jersey. Well, actually, the limited player version is like a mid-range jersey. I rather have these. Much more inexpensive if you can get them without the names, like mine doesn't have the name on it. And you can customize these any which way you like, Oh, here's a sponsor patch. I tracked down one of these on eBay, applied it myself. Oh, it's kind of peeling a little bit. That happens after a couple washes, so I'm going to have to iron this again. And then I replaced the Logo Man patch with the MVP patch for Aaron Judge. The whole point is that I get enjoyment out of it. I don't care what it's worth. I don't care about its value. Everything these days with certain talking heads out there is value, value, value. And then you got this crowd over here, and I'm kind of sandwiched in the middle somewhere where it's like, collect because you want to collect, because you enjoy it, and because, you want to nurture it and all that kind of stuff, man. And it's like, I'm watching these guys go at each other, and I have to say it's kind of pitiful. And I'll tell you why. Grown men. Grown men. I've criticized my fellow toy collectors because of things like this, for example. This is my all-time favorite Optimus Prime. Studio Series 86 Prime. I wish I had this as a kid. You got grown men bitching, whining, moaning, and complaining. Oh, did you have enough arm swivel? Oh, what's all this about with the smokestacks? I'm like, it's a goddamn toy. Yeah, it moves around, it poses, but, at least we're at this point that, man babies, and I'll consider myself a man baby, that's fine. when you collect toys like this, be grateful you even have stuff like this. I wish I had stuff like this as a kid. But to me, if I'm going under stressful issues and whatnot, I'll grab Prime, fiddle around with them a little bit, put them into a pose, whatever it is, strike a pose like Madonna, you know what I mean? And put them back up there on my desk, and that's that. Stress has been relieved. My curiosity as to how I could pose this guy has been satisfied. Put him back up there, go back to being a man all over again. An almost 50-year-old grown man. I'm not out in the sandbox playing with my toys. I'm a toy collector. I'm a jersey collector. But the point is, it's like, man, there's like this stupid civil war going on between grown men. I hate to say, again, I'm somewhere in the middle because I can't stand how a lot of these content creators, again, I mentioned Jeff Wilson, I mentioned even Teapot recently talking about certain things causing all this panic and fervor, that certain cards, look out, are going to, drop in value. And it's like, value. Don't you just buy things to enjoy them anymore? You know what I mean? And then you have the other side of the crowd where it's like, man, you know what I mean? I get the fact that you want to enjoy all this stuff, but you're acting like children over this stuff. Especially in the Transformers toy space. The way I see grown men talking about these toys, they're fucking toys. They're fucking toys. They're toys. For me, Optimus Prime is a statue. Yeah, I'll put him in a dynamic pose. It looks cool. But at the end of the day, I have to do something called paying rent. You know what I mean? And paying bills. It's like, man, guys, like, stop all of this crap. Stop trying to control these spaces and these hobbies. I saw this bullshit years ago with the 501st Legion, where they would literally bully people behind their backs. Well, of course, a bunch of them are nothing but out-of-shape bookworms that need to be beat up in a schoolyard parking lot, But they would, let me tell you, they were really fucking nasty to a lot of people, and now I'm a little bit more physically, how can I say this? Like, I've improved my health over the years. Because I was almost 300 pounds years ago. I mean, I had a big fat beer belly just like Elvis Presley used to have when he was alive, But over the years, I take care of myself now. And I'm a little bit more physically fit than I was back then, You tend to look in the mirror and look at all that stuff. And these people are bullies. They would bully everyone and anyone that didn't have $1,000, $2,000 costume. Every little nick and scratch and button and this and that has to be. It's fucking obsessive compulsive nonsense. And they would talk bad about people behind their back until you confronted them to their faces. Which a lot of these people are cowards anyway, because they won't look you dead square in their eye. They'll be on their computers doing all of that bullshit because they're cowards. They're bullies until you bully them back. Then all of a sudden they start playing the victim. And that's the kind of people that you're dealing with on this side over here. Narcissists. You got people trying to control things over here. And then you got, man babies on this side. In a way, like I said, hey, I'm a man baby in some ways. I collect fucking action figures and Transformers toys and He-Man and stuff like that. So I'm kind of I'm in both categories somewhere, or I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm a centrist in all of this because I can't support one side or the other, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. I'm watching Professor Sports Cards go at it. I'm watching Neo Cards and Comics go at it. I'm watching Sports Card Dad go at it. I'm watching all of these talking heads, spewing all this crap, calling each other out. And it's like, and you all wonder why nobody watches your content anymore. I hear all of this stuff about, oh, well, COVID this and, but I'm glad that all that China virus stuff is over with because you need to go outside once in a while. Get some fresh air and get some sun on your face. Some of you look like you need it. That's why I like going to the pool once in a while or even sitting on my patio. You got to get some fresh air. You can't let this dictate, the course of your life. It's just fucking YouTube. It's YouTube. I use this for fun. I don't really take it all that seriously. I mean, yeah, there's some serious topics I've talked about here, but on this channel. But at the end of the day, you can't take all this stuff all that seriously. You're talking about, again, the quote, Sports Card Radio says it the best. These are just photos of fucking men. They're fucking photos of men. And then you got the flip side with guys that are collecting stuff like this. They're kids' toys. They're fucking kids' toys. Guys, calm down. You all need to take a smoke break. And I'm not, well, depending on what kind of smoke you smoke. You know what I mean? But it's like, man, time out, everybody. Jesus. And I'm watching this little sports card civil war go on. You know, I hate the fact that sports cards now have turned into like this profiteering market, you know, where it's like, buy this card, you need this card, this is in the top 5 best cards I have. See, I like guys that are into like statistics, like 10 club cards. I love when he does like his top, what is it, top 50 or 40 or whatever it is that he does. You know, I love channels that do stuff like that. You know, Wax Pack Gods, you know, he goes through like prospects and rookies and stuff like that. Like, I like statistics. Even Scotty B sometimes. I love watching Scotty B blabbing about slabbing. Unfortunately, Teapot's in there. But, you know, their takes, you know, as far as that crew, I mean, even when Teapot's in there, I'll give him some credit. But that one video he released recently with market movers, I didn't like at all. I thought it was really scummy to talk about value, kids. And I'm like, geez, Jeff Wilson does this stuff too. People are going to like what they like as far as hobbies are concerned. If young kids don't like vintage, don't force it on them. That's up to them if they want to choose vintage cards or not. Unfortunately today, yeah, everything's shiny. Like, you know, when I got back into the hobby, I'm like, I look at that, I showed off the Ken Griffey Jr. rookie. You look at something like that versus, you know, Topps Chrome or Bowman Chrome or Sapphire. I have a Bobby Witt Jr. Sapphire Orange out of 25 PSA 10 that I went out of my way to get. And I tell you what, man, that's an amazing looking card. It looks great, especially a Bobby Witt card. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know, you can't really force people to get into certain things like that. These are just hobbies. They're fucking hobbies. Escapism. And you got one side versus the other side. And each one of them is trying to dictate the course of what to do. Do what the fuck you want with these hobbies. You got one side here that invested all of this money with their personal studios, and they got editing crews. I'm a one-man show. I do all my eBay stuff on my own. I walk back into the back and forth to the post office when I get sales. I edit all my own. Everything I do here on this channel, I do by myself. But these guys put so much money into this. They've basically become their own slaves. That's a fact. I could stop making content tomorrow if I chose to. That's why I love my little sports card gig that I got here. Because I'm my own boss and I can come and go as I please. I'm beholden to no one. These guys did it to themselves. And the deeper and deeper they dig their financial hole, the bigger the losses they may potentially have if they don't keep propping up all of this crap. Look at this top 10 card. Oh my God, you have to invest. And then you got the other side of the coin where it's like, you know, they're bitching, moaning, whining, and complaining why an elbow doesn't bend on a Transformers toy. That rightfully should be in the hands of a 6-year-old. And you're talking to a 48-year-old holding an Optimus Prime in his hand. You know what I mean? That, you know, at least you have this side that comes at things from a more sentimental point of view. But at the same time, a lot of them are childlike. You're grown-ass men. Stop that. Jeez, doesn't anybody just make content to have fun? I mean, I know I make some serious content. Fine, I'll accept that criticism. Because, you know, hey, outside of all of this stuff, man, you know, there's some awful things that are going on. You know, again, the death of my father, what my ex-girlfriend did to me. I have internet hacks that are out there, you know, doxing my friends and trying to break up my relationships with people and all this bullshit. Meanwhile, there's an example of the evidence that is to the contrary. Because, again, there's no criminal record, no wrongdoing. I'm like Donald Trump light. Or Diet Trump. The only thing is I haven't had anybody try to unalive me. Thank God. But with all that being said, it's just like, God, man, there's so much crap now in these hobbies where it's just like, man, you guys need to relax, man, especially you grown-ass men. Kids are going to collect what they're going to collect. Adults are going to collect what they want to collect. Just fucking live and let live, man. You know, when it comes to these hobby spaces. Again, I'm wedged somewhere in the middle because I could see both sides of the coin, but I don't agree with both sides of the coin. Excuse me. It's just certain aspects of these hobbies I like and certain aspects of these hobbies I don't like. I don't like the idea of trying to push this narrative. Invest. Invest in photos of men. And I've been seeing all this stuff going on with SGC and PSA and all of that. I'm still going to submit to SGC. I'm an SGC snob. I'm not going to have PSA heads tell me what I can and can't do with my cards. Fuck you. And if I feel like taking my Optimus Prime and posing him in a certain way, and if his arm doesn't move, oh well. It's my stuff to do as I please. And that's the ultimate point of all of this. People are getting triggered over bullshit. Bullshit. Baseball cards were a thing of the past that young kids, like my old man when he was a young lad back in the 40s and 50s, and even earlier than that, would sit in a circle, they'd flip their cards, whoever got the heads up took the other person's cards from them. It was meant for children. Like this was meant for children. And now adults have come into children's spaces, robbing kids of their opportunity to enjoy these hobbies. With the exception of maybe sneakerheads and jersey collectors and hat collectors and niche items like model buses and trains and airplanes and things like that. You know, I mean, I'm looking at my He-Man action figures there, the Big Trouble in Little China figures, which that video didn't get off the ground. But because it's a very niche collecting base, you know what I mean? So it's very selective to make a video for something like that. But at the end of the day, these hobbies really are for children. And you got grown men complaining and fighting on the internet. Well, Professor Sports Card said this. The sports card dad said that. And then the card man and Pat the NES punk and not tripping. It's like, ugh. Grow up. Grow up. I mean, I like a little escapism now and then. But you grown-ass people that are out there really need to take a look in the mirror. And I'm talking, you know, on both sides of the coin. Again, I'm sandwiched in the middle somewhere. And say, you know what? I got rent to pay. I got food to eat. You know, or at least I need to buy food because I need to be alive. I need gas in my vehicle. I need the electric to keep the lights on. I need to pay my phone bill, recording off my cell phone. This comes next. These come next. Priorities. Keyword in all of this. Priorities. Where are your priorities? And all of you are just making it look worse for the rest of us. I'm not taking sides here because I see it from both sides of the coin. And with this particular issue, you want to call me a centrist, so be it. You want to call me a man baby? Here you go. I'm a toy collector. I'm a baseball card collector. But at the end of the day, these are things that were really meant for kids. And if you see what's going on in the TCG space with Pokemon, grown men fighting in what was it, Costco? Grown men fighting with each other. And grown men are fighting in Target trying to clear shelves of fucking Pokemon cards. You people are pathetic, man. Really pathetic. That's why I'm not taking sides in this stupid little you know, civil war that's going on in the card space. Because again, I'm not an exclusive sports card content creator. I talk about all different kinds of hobbies here on our channel, and every so often I'll throw in, you know, some of my personal issues and some, you know, realistic topics. But at the end of the day, man, this is for kids. Honestly, let's face it. Unless you're a sports fan like me, jerseys, hats, sneakers, jackets, clothing. That's more for the adults in some ways. Yeah, there's also stuff for the kids too, but it's mostly for adults if you're in that space. But all this other stuff, toy collecting, baseball card collecting, it's supposed to be for kids. It's a kid's hobby. And you are all bitching and complaining about it. I get that in certain corners of these hobbies that there are certain items that are considered more valuable than others, but doesn't anybody just buy anything to enjoy anymore? Doesn't anybody just want to sit on a cloud and have a fucking sandwich with a side helping of cookies and some strawberry milk and just enjoy the goddamn puzzle that's in front of you? Or the Rubik's Cube. There are people that have them big ass cubes that I watch that on YouTube. Sometimes I find it fascinating. what young people do with these big puzzle walls, whatever the hell they're called. Grow up. Grow up. Go through realistic shit like I am. I got to deal with the death of my dad next month. You know, having to deal with personal issues, you know, taking care of business with my family next month. Deal with that. What do you think my priorities are? You guessed it. Being a grown-up. This little sports card civil war that's going on, I find the whole thing to be laughable, stupid, and pathetic. You guys need to calm down just a little bit. This side over here that's trying to prop it up. I'm just going to grab a card at random out of my seller's box. Look at this, Michael Harris II. He's one of the greatest players. Invest. You know, put it in a PSA 10 slab. It'll be 3x the value. Invest. Because these people put so much money into this shit that if they don't constantly be a talking head, blowing their own clarion horn, everything that they built on will fall to pieces. Like a glass house when you throw a rock at it. That's why they do what they do. That's why you should be concerned about people like Jeff Wilson and his crew. I used to give Teapot a little bit more credit until his most recent upload on Market Movers, and it just pissed me off to no end. Well, you shouldn't do this, and you shouldn't do that. Don't tell us what to do. If I feel like collecting Jose Canseco, I sure as hell will. As a matter of fact, it's funny I even mentioned his name. Where is that? There. That's from my dad's collection. What are you going to do? Tell me to put it in a paper shredder? Fuck you. It's my dad's Jose Canseco. Fuck you. This obsessive compulsive need to tell people what to go do with themselves as far as children's hobbies are concerned, you need some serious therapy. Trust me, every so often when I go through bouts of depression, it helps. You know what I mean? I'm not ashamed of that. Many of you know about that wonderful event that took place in 2001. I utilize those resources when I have to. Some of these people really need serious therapy. Should put them in a timeout room and take their baseball cards and toys and jerseys away from them and watch what happens. They'll lose their minds. Everybody loses their minds. Like the Joker would say, it's pathetic, man. Grow up. Grow up. It just amazes me that nothing is sacred anymore. Nothing could be fun anymore. The fun has been taken out of everything. The fun, the spirit, and the soul of collecting across the board has been taken away for YouTube views, clicks, and profiteering. I've been on YouTube, over a year? Something like that. The channel has been growing little by little by little. It's growing organically. Some people may like my content, some people may not like my content. But at least I tell you how it is from my point of view, and I'm not always right either, but it gets to a point where it's like, really, you guys are going to fight over the what happened during the China virus, during the biggest hoax that we've ever seen, allegedly. And I have to say that for YouTube reasons, allegedly. Clicks, views, and profit. Don't you do this just to have fucking fun? Yeah, it's nice to make a little bit of side cash. I got that. I'm an LLC. I sell baseball cards and other things on eBay. I promote it with every video and short I upload here on YouTube. But can't you just have a little fun? Does everything need to be so fucking serious? And it's like everything's being treated like a business. When I come on here and I do my reviews of things like this, I'm having fun. I'm having a good time. When I'm ripping packs, I'm having a good time. And then the things I'm not interested in, as far as, ripping card packs and collectibles and jerseys, I sell off on eBay, and if it can make somebody happy and they get it at a cheap price, okay, well, you won. Congratulations. You get things from me for a lot cheaper so you don't have to break the bank. I get a little bit of money in my pocket. Everybody's happy. But at least I'm having fun. What's your excuse? I'm your host, the Carolina Collector. Take care, God bless, and stay safe, and I will see you all very soon.